Good morning. This is Marilyn Price. The sun is shining, and I hope you are too. I have been joined by a whole bunch of friends today to tell you a story that is a favorite, beloved story of a really good friend of mine that I didn't know. I know my good friend, but I did not know this story. So I looked it up so I could tell it for you, to you, and for him as well. So here it goes. It's got a whole bunch of really wonderful, sweet characters in it. All of them have a personality just like you. So I am Marilyn Price, speaking to you from the Mentor Project, who helps so many people. And that's why this story is even more important, because this is a story about people, or actually animals, in your neighborhood. And I found it, thank goodness, in this collection of stories called Favorite Animal Stories. And this particular one, which is the head story, the lead story, is called The Little Mailman of Bayberry Lane. So I'm taking you to Bayberry Lane. I don't know how far it is, but it certainly is deep in this book. And as you know about books, when you open them up, you go to magic places. So I would like very much to introduce some of the characters and show you how you can tell the story as well. I decided that if you're going to use puppets to tell a story about delivering the mail, they should be made of envelopes. So smart. I knew this audience was smart. So I made a kind of fancy envelope puppet of the mailman of Bayberry Lane. And so here's who's in the story. There are 5 principal characters, a few that aren't as, don't have speaking roles. So I should say they're sort of stand-ins. Stand-ins and or extras, they call them in showbiz. So the principal character is the mailman, of course, but also in our story, the lead character is a goose. So initially, to tell you the truth, I was going to use and her name is Mrs. Goose. So, hello? Oh, Mrs. Goose, are you going to be in the story? You would like to be in the story. Well, I would like for you to be in the story too, but remember I said I was going to make the puppets out of envelopes? No, don't be sad. So I can make an exception. No, you cannot be in the story. Because you are what we call in the trade a two-handed puppet. No, not your hands. Those are your feet anyway. My hands. I need as many hands as I can get to tell this story. No, don't be sad. So don't be sad. Maybe you could think of something or some character you know. Yes, I could. Could I borrow your kid? No, it's not a kid. It's called a gosling. I'm sorry. Kids are baby sheep. All right. So Mrs. Goose, for those of you who don't know, is a proud mother. Mm-hmm. She's a proud mother of a pup. Sweet, huh? Mama? Baby. Now, granted, this baby's probably 30 years old, but you know what? She is always going to be her baby. If you wanted to make a puppet, not necessarily like Mrs. Goose and her baby. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to have you exit. And yeah, off stage. Yeah, I know it's called In the Wings. Mrs. Goose is going into the wings. Pretty funny, huh? Okay. Thank you for coming on and making an appearance. Maybe we'll do a show just about you. Would you like that? You'd like that a lot. Okay, then we'll do it. I think we should do it. Okay, so we have one character that initially I was going to make out of an envelope, but now I think we'll use Baby Goose. Okay, would you sit right over there so I can grab you? And gently, of course. Okay, so that's one of our characters. Mm-hmm. And we also have a duck in the story. So how do you make a duck out of a envelope? Open up the flap. Don't need it. Stick it inside of the rest of the envelope. Now, take your hand, please. Okay, 4 fingers together, thumb here. Bend. Excellent. When you open them, shut them, that makes a puppet. You can even use that for the duck puppet. But we're going to cover it up, give it a mask. sort of be safe, right? Cool. Stretch like that. Push, close. Excellent. When you do that, you're going to take it off your hand, pinch just a little. Now, if this were a puppet, which it is, because I said so, we're going to need to give it some eyeballs. What? No, you have your own eyes. And we're going to put stickers today. Love stickers. Easy to get. If and you don't have stickers, you do probably somewhere in your world have something called a Sharpie. Could you help me open the Sharpie? Thank you. Okay. Oh, I closed it right. So I'm going to give her, because this is the duck here, has eyelashes in her story. It doesn't really, but I thought I'd put them in. And we're going to give it pupils. Excellent. Do you know what you need? Oh, wait. You need something really important that ducks have. So let's close our marker carefully. And first of all, we have to give you a tongue. Say ah. It's hard to say ah without a tongue. We'll use another sticker for our tongue. Ah. Ducks have feathers. Feathers keep them warm like our hair. Exactly what they are, actually. So we're going to get some feathers. This is tricky. This is kind of tricky because I want it to go on right away. So I got these feathers. And I'm going to, it's just, you normally wouldn't do this. You'd use a little glue and probably a little attention. So I happen to have these around. I am going to staple on her feathers. See, just like that. Ow, you're a blue goose. Do you mind? It's plain named after you. Okay, you could do that. Now you can also, if you don't happen to have any feathers, not everybody does, you can take some of these. They're called Post-its. Ooh, what a great invention, Post-its. So what I want you to do is rip off a few of these. And then what you do is, because it already comes with sticky, life is so simple then. You take some of those blues. We're going to give her a little bit. These are going to be her wings, just in case she needs to fly away. All right, excellent job. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you out there learning all this stuff. So here we go. This is the world's first made in front of you, my friends, blue goose. What does a goose say? Quack. Excellent. I'm going to interpret the entire story for you. So many languages. All right, so then we have the duck, and we have the goose, and we have, and just in case you happen to have a statue of a goose, I brought this one along in case things get tricky. And then let's see, where is it? It's so slow. So slow. Well, yesterday, just for you, I took a plate and a half, and I know this is not an envelope, but I love to make turtles this way. And part of our story is about food, so we need some plates. So I took the plate. I took a plate and a half. Maybe that's how mailman could carry his mail in the pouch. See, I love that. I just thought of that. So we could also use it as a pouch for the mailman. Our mailman, Bayberry Lane. But we're going to turn it into a turtle. And but wait, where is our turtle's head? How can he do any talking at all? So I took a strip, just a strip of material. Ready? He's going to come out and see you. Here he comes. Now I'll have to tell you, because I know this for a fact, turtles do make a noise. It's a kind of a, and they very, very seldom make that noise. And of course, the last envelope to greet us today. It's a really nice way to make an envelope or any kind of puppet. So first seal the envelope. Some of them have sticky on them, so you don't have to lick them. And then instead of folding it over like I did with the goose, you cut off one of the edges. And you have instant, I'm talking instant way to hold your puppet. You could draw anything on that puppet. You could take that very same marker and put just a smiley face on it to say the day is a good day. But for me, I am going to do something even more extraordinary. I took a picture of our friend, Mrs. Pig, and put it right, there's the envelope, on top of that envelope. Mrs. Pig, what would you say if I was speaking to you in Pig? I would say to you, honk, 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 which is good morning in Pig. And the pig would say, honk, 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 good morning, honk, honk, to you. So that, ladies and gentlemen, oh, wait, not true. That's not our cast. What a silly goose. Almost said it. Goose am I. So we have one pig, one duck, one goose, honk, one turtle. Can I forget the turtle? And now we have the little mailman of Bayberry Lane. So let me show you his picture from my book. I am thinking that the little mailman of Bayberry Lane is in fact a chipmunk, which would make some sense. What do you think? Think a chipmunk? Because they are scurrying all over the neighborhood. So I said to myself, how do you make a chipmunk puppet out of an envelope? Well, because I know you are so very generous of spirit to me, I thought, well, they're going to like it. Or they're going to say, can I do that? Yep, you can. Because all you really need to do for the chipmunk is to make a tail. That big old tail could stick up at the end. I didn't do that, but I do need for him to be able to talk. So I took his face, and I put it on top of an envelope. Okay, so all you're going to see is the chipmunk's face. And he's a very lovely chipmunk. Thank you. You're lovely too. Thank you, Mr. Chipmunk. No, Mr. Postman, Mailman, Chipmunk, who lives on Bayberry Lane, written by Munn and published in 1952. A lovely story, a sweet story, a story about a neighborhood of friends. And it goes like this. It was a lovely, clear autumn morning in Bayberry Lane. The trees were bright yellow and red, just like today. The thistles were sparkling with dew, and there was that good bayberry smell coming from the bushes on either side of the lane. Even though it was very early, Mrs. Goose had wandered far up the lane picking bayberries. She was going to make bayberry candles that day. Besides, she always liked to be the first to greet the little mailman, for he had the latest gossip. She peered up the lane to see if he was coming. Mrs. Duck, quack, quack, was sweeping the yellow leaves off her walk. She too kept going out to the mailbox and looking up the lane. I do hope there's a letter from my sister. Mr. Turtle was sitting on his front stoop in the warm sunshine. His eyes were closed, but he wasn't asleep. He was listening for the cheery whistle of the little mailman. I wonder if he'll bring my new tulip catalog. But he didn't go out to the gate to look up the lane. Shucks, what's the hurry anyway? Around the bend in the lane was Mrs. Pig's house. Mrs. Pig was waiting by the mailbox. Even though she never received any letters, every morning she hoped for one. But every morning the little mailman passed her by. Then up from the lane came the little mailman's chatter. Ah, Mrs. Goose. You are out early this morning. Well, here is your mail. Have you heard that the robins are going south for the winter? And Mrs. Duck, a yellow letter for you. Yellow means good news, you know. He put a tulip catalog into Mr. Turtle's mailbox and called, "Hi, Mr. Turtle. Here are tulips for you that won't talk back." And as quickly as he'd come, he was around the bend. He slowed to a walk, and his cheerfulness seemed to leave him. He couldn't bear the look of disappointment on her face. Every morning, the little mailman was the only one who guessed how sad and lonely Mrs. Pig was. And there she was, standing by the mailbox. "Good morning, Mrs. Pig. Do I smell apple tarts this morning?" I have one here just for you," said Mrs. Pig. "Today's my baking day, you know." He bit into the tart. Mrs. Pig, you are the very best cook in Bayberry Lane." Mrs. Pig blushed and looked very pleased, and with a cheery "Thank you," the little mailman bounded off down the lane. He thought, "I wonder why she never gets any letters. Maybe it's because she never writes any herself. I wonder why she doesn't have any friends. Maybe it's because she never goes anywhere to make friends. Maybe she's shy and afraid to try. Somebody ought to get her started. I wish I could think of a way to help her." He was still munching the apple tart. "Today is Friday. I wonder what she'll bake next Friday." Then he had a wonderful idea. The little mailman's house was under a stone wall, so it was always dark in his rooms, even in the middle of the day. He lit one of Mrs. Goose's bayberry candles and sat down at his table to write. And this is what he wrote. He wrote, "You are invited to a surprise party for Mrs. Pig next Friday afternoon at 3. Then he popped the invitation into an envelope for Mr. and Mrs. Goose, then another for the ducks, and one for Mr. Turtle. The next morning, after the mailman had passed through Bayberry Lane, all was excitement. Everyone but Mrs. Pig had received an invitation. There hasn't been a party in the lane for a very long time. Mrs. Goose was ironing her party sash. Mrs. Duck was sticking new feathers in her hat. Mr. Turtle was shaking mothballs out of his pocket of his party jacket. But Mrs. Pig was still sad and lonesome as she went about her household tasks. On Friday, she was baking as usual. This time, she was making apple tarts and little lemon cakes, all covered with hickory nuts. And she set them on the windowsill to cool and went out to work in the garden. At 3 o'clock, she was picking a bouquet of chrysanthemums when she heard, surprise, and up popped heads from her garden wall. Then she remembered her manners. "Do come in." And they all scrambled over the stone wall, all except Mr. Turtle, who went around the gate. Mrs. Goose said, "I've brought you a feather duster." The little mailman had brought her a basket of hickory nuts. And just then the turtle arrived and presented her with one of his best tulip bulbs. It was the happiest afternoon of Mrs. Pig's life, and everyone had a wonderful time. They played croquet on the lawn, and the pig brewed a big pot of tea and served her apple tarts and lemon cakes. The party didn't end till dawn. The following day, the little mailman chatted with everyone as usual, all down Bayberry Lane. And as he got to Mrs. Pig's he gave her mail. She was so excited, she read them right where she stood. The first one said, I may read it for her. Dear Mrs. Pig, thank you for the lovely time we had at your house yesterday. Won't you have dinner with us on Sunday? Sincerely, Mrs. Goose. The second one said, Dear Mrs. Pig, thank you for making the party so enjoyable, and thank you especially for the lemon cakes. If you come over this afternoon, I'll show you how to plant tulip buds. Your friend, Mr. Turtle. Mrs. Pig was never sad and lonely again. There were so many visits to be made, so many parties, and so many letters to be answered. And Mrs. Pig knew that all her newfound happiness was because of her very best friend, the little mailman on Bayberry Lane. And that, of course, is not the end. Because when you have a letter to read over and over again on a piece of paper that comes to you in an envelope, you can open it and read it over and over. I don't know about you, but when I get the mail, even if it's just bills and an advertisement, I know that somebody was thinking about me. I have saved letters from friends, from family, and I open them up every once in a while. There's nothing like getting a letter in the mail. So if you happen to have a minute today and an envelope, and if you don't have an envelope, you could probably even find an old one. You can make a puppet out of that one, or put a sticker over the front and write a letter to someone you care about and tell them to have a great day, just like I'm asking you to have a great day. I'm thanking all of you for coming. I am thanking especially my friends at the Mentor Project, the Kaufman Family Foundation, Tri-Braining Inc., and most especially the sun for shining on our story today. May your day be a good one, and may you help to make it good. And that, from me, my friend, little Mrs. Goose, honk, honk, is the way we end our lovely story. Our beloved story. Have a good one. Bye-bye.